We've also learned some new interesting things about transitional treatment under the new OVDP procedures. When you request transitional treatment, you are still required to fill out a certification statement, very similar to the ones required under the Streamlined program. However, several changes to the template certification statement provided on the IRS website are required. First of all, the tax and interest computation on the first page has to include 8 years, the 8 years that would have been at issue in your disclosure period under the traditional OVDP. Additionally, that computation has to include accuracy-related penalties in addition to the tax and interest listed on the certification statement from the Streamlined program. Interestingly, the computation of the penalty based on the asset value only has to include 6 years. So despite the fact that there was an 8-year disclosure period under the traditional OVDP, the penalty computation is based only on a 6-year period rather than that 8-year period. Something else you'll need to pay attention to with a transitional treatment request is the certification statement requires that year-end balances be listed rather than high year balances. This can be a lot of work up front because you have to go back through statements and determine not just the year-end value, but also all the conversion rates for those different accounts. But it can work to a lot of taxpayers an advantage because for many people, the year-end value is lower than the high year value. There has been some disagreement between revenue agents regarding whether or not the payment for that 5% penalty must be included with the certification statement in a transitional treatment request. Now, to clarify, with a streamlined disclosure package under the streamlined domestic offshore procedures or the streamlined foreign offshore procedures, your payment for tax and interest, and in the case of the domestic program, the 5% penalty, must be included with your submission documents. However, if you are currently in an offshore voluntary disclosure program and are requesting transitional treatment, your transitional treatment request with the certification statement does not have to include that payment for that 5% penalty. There are some revenue agents who have said that it does, but ultimately you're going to get a closing agreement as a result of your transitional treatment request. And when you sign that closing agreement is when you will be required to make that payment of the 5% penalty. You can choose to pay the penalty with your transitional treatment request and certification statement, but because there's a high likelihood there will still be some negotiation on the exact amount of that penalty, it might be best to wait until you have that closing agreement in hand to sign and close the whole case.